So just 1 point.
Good to go?
Yes, sir. So, hello everyone, viewers of Dr. Varsha's Homeo Health channel. पहले तो वेलकम अगेन आफ्टर अ लॉन्ग टर्म। सॉरी, बहुत टाइम से मैंने कोई वीडियो नहीं किया, कोई शूट नहीं किया, कोई जूम नहीं किया, कोई लाइव नहीं किया, ड्यू टू सम रीजंस, ड्यू टू समथिंग माय ड्रीम। मेरे ड्रीम की वजह से मैंने उस पर ज़्यादा फोकस किया उस समय, लेकिन अभी वी आर नाउ गुड टू गो विद द यूट्यूब लाइव अगेन एंड वी मुझे लगा कि इस चीज़ की शुरुआत बहुत अच्छे टॉपिक से और कुछ इनोवेटिव टॉपिक से करना चाहिए. And meanwhile, I got contacted with Dr. Munjal sir and Dr. Hardik sir, and they have recently attended one of the very finest and very innovative seminar at Bangalore, which has been organized by IISC, that is Indian Institute of Science. And उसका जो topic था, which is very interesting and very fascinating, that was लॉन्गिटिविटी राइज एंड एजिंग. उसके ऊपर कंसेप्ट है जो बहुत ही ज़्यादा इंटरेस्टिंग है. कुछ चीज़ें शायद होम्योपैथिक से कोरिलेटेड है, जिनको समझने की हमारी फील्ड वालों को भी बहुत उतनी ही ज़रूरत है जितनी बाकी फैक्टर्स बाकी फील्ड वालों के लिए है. तो आज हम कुछ नया सीखेंगे इस बारे में. जितना मुझे बहुत कुछ नहीं पता है, मैं भी सीखने वाली हूँ, वैसे आप भी आज सीखने वाले हैं इस टॉपिक से. तो ये कुछ नया इनोवेटिव टॉपिक है जिसके बारे में मैं चाहती हूँ कि आई वुड लाइक टू वेलकम डॉक्टर हार्दिक खम्मर सर and Dr. Munjal sir. Both are the senior renowned homeopaths in Ahmedabad, and इनके बारे में जितना बोलूँ उतना कम है. हार्दिक सर हैज हिज हॉस्पिटल, दैट इज प्रयास कैंसर हॉस्पिटल, एंड मतलब होम्योपैथिक क्लिनिक है, लेकिन उनका स्पेशलिटी कैंसर एंड पैथोलॉजिकल केसेस में ज़्यादा है. फॉर मुंजाल सर, ही इज वेरी गुड इन डायबिटिक केसेस एंड वेरी पैथोलॉजिकल केसेस, एंड दे आर लाइक एक मुझे कभी भी कहीं पर भी प्रॉब्लम आती है प्रैक्टिस में, तो इन दोनों से मुझे हमेशा सपोर्ट रहता है. थैंक यू सर फॉर ऑल द सपोर्ट्स यू हैव ऑलवेज गिवन मी इन माय प्रैक्टिस, जिससे मेरा कॉन्फिडेंस लेवल एक बूस्ट होता है. बहुत सारे ऐसे टाइम आए कि मैं बहुत ज़्यादा स्ट्रेस में आ जाती हूँ पेशेंट्स के एग्रावेशन से, और वहाँ ऑलमोस्ट every time Hardik sir and Munjal sir is always there to guide me what further we can do in these cases, and that how only a homeopathic can grow. I can think I understand that कि अगर हम एक दूसरे का साथ देंगे तो हम ज़्यादा अच्छे पेशेंट्स में रिजल्ट दे सकते हैं, और उस वजह से हम ज़्यादा ग्रो कर सकते हैं. Hardik sir is also in the academics and practicing since long with the homeopathy and having a very good results. He has learned from the renowned homeopath of India, Dr. Sunima Sarkar. डायरेक्टली उनसे सीखा हुआ है, और उनके सारे के सारे जो फुट स्टेप्स है उन पे चल के उन्होंने बहुत अच्छे रिजल्ट्स कैंसर पेशेंट्स में देते हैं. Munjal sir is, I call him as a scientist of in homeopathy because he is a very जो चीजें उनके दिमाग में आती है उस पर बहुत डीपली उस पर रिसर्च करना, उसके बारे में समझना, साइंटिफिक तरीके से उस पर समझना. उनके साथ जब भी डिस्कशन होता है तो एक ऐसा लगता है एक साइंटिस्ट के साथ बैठे हैं हर एक चीज को समझने के लिए. तो ही अंडरस्टैंड्स एंड ही गोज इनटू वेरी डीप पार्ट्स ऑफ एवरी पर्टिकुलर टॉपिक्स. सो आई वेलकम यू both of you sir in today's topic.
Hi, good
Thank
evening.
you.
Thank you for the introduction.
Thank you, and good evening, Varsha. You're
And
doing a
Munjal
wonderful
sir
job.
is in a research department in Ahmedabad Homeopathic Medical College right now. He's a PhD guide. He's been practicing since 1994. And sir is with VH Dave Medical College, Homeopathic Medical College in Anand, Hardik sir. So I hope आज का टॉपिक आप सबके लिए बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग रहेगा. सर, पहले तो मुझे जो बहुत ज़्यादा फैसिनेट किया है और मुझे कब से पूछना है कि हम होम्योपैथिक सेमिनार्स तो बहुत भरते हैं, हम कॉन्फ्रेंसेस यूजुअली होम्योपैथिक रिलेटेडली या ऐसे टॉपिक्स में भरते हैं जिसमें कुछ डिसीज पैथोलॉजी ये सब होगा, तो हम यूजुअली उसके से अट्रैक्ट होते हैं, हम भरने जाते हैं. लेकिन बैंगलोर में, आप अहमदाबाद दोनों हैं, फिर भी आप बैंगलोर गए और एक ऐसे टॉपिक के लिए गए जो शायद किसी ने सोचा नहीं होगा कि हमें इस टॉपिक को भी एक्सप्लोर करना चाहिए. तो ये कैसे आप लोगों ने इसके बारे में सोचा और वहां कैसे पहुंच गए आप? यस सर, मुंजल सर प्लीज.
हार्दिक, आप बताओ.
So I reached there because Dr. Munjal introduced this. And I would always say that this longevity science was running in my mind since 1 or 2 years.
ओके.
And a few days back only I was just reading something about it. कि ये क्या है? but I was not doing anything about it. And then Munjal sir just sent me this, hey, we can think about it. I went to the brochure, and then the next action was to book the flight to Bangalore. And that's how we ended over there. So
So
yes,
what,
sometimes it is like the quest you have, and then the universe give you the answer. So Dr. Munjal gave me the answer for that.
how you raised to this topic and the conference?
तो थोड़ा पागलपंती है. There's a certain mad element that kind of tweaks in my head all the time. And I refuse to be bound in the four walls of my clinic
Right.
because I see myself, as you rightly said, as a scientist than even a homeopath. I don't identify myself
Yes.
so much as a homeopath, then I see myself more as a scientist. I am a quintessential student who is all the time curious.
Right.
So this quest of curiosity and the thirst to understand Mother Nature is so unquenchable and so insatiable that I have always been like this
Right.
since I was a baby. So when you are curious, no, your mind is curious. It wants to go and take a peek into everything.
Right.
You become very nosy. ये भी जानना है, ये भी जानना है, ये भी जानना है, ये भी जानना है. So when you do this, your brain has seeds of many things. I am extremely curious about physics.
Right.
I'm extremely curious about quantum mechanics. I'm extremely curious about robotics. I'm extremely curious about AI. And I'm extremely curious about Hahnemann's discovery of homeopathy. Now, see, ये जो सब्जेक्ट बना के रखे हैं ना हम लोग, ये हमारे दिमाग की पैदाश है. In nature, there is no separate AI, there is no separate homeopathy, there is no separate genetics. Separate नहीं है. Nature में everything is together.
Right.
In one pack. आपको कौन से पर्सपेक्टिव से वो फिनोमेना को देखना है, वो आपके ऊपर है, आपकी ट्रेनिंग के ऊपर.
Right.
So for me, it takes me back in 2013, where with other songs, you will also find the video on the YouTube. You can just do a search, TED Med 2013, the other song. So if those of you are familiar, ये TED Talks. तो TED Talks में ऐसे ही कहीं ना कहीं कुछ भी आते रहते हैं. You know, very unrelated things come. And so what we did in 2013 was to bring very unrelated people from medicine into the other song, which has got to do with core homeopathy.
Right.
Now the purpose here was to sow seeds into your head. That is one part. When the seed will germinate and when it will connect with the other one, you don't know. You have no idea. The human brain functions and makes connections when you go off to sleep. That means in a very unconscious state.
Right.
So when I heard about this longevity, I remember many years ago, when I was just out of my college, Dr. Vijaykar presented a case of a man whom he prescribed, if I am not mistaken, arsenic.
Okay.
And that patient lived 100 years.
Oh.
And he said it is because of homeopathy that he lived 100 years.
Right.
Now, मेरा दिमाग एक साइंटिस्ट का दिमाग,
Hmm.
तो मैं बोलूंगा आई एम नॉट वांटिंग टू अग्री विद यू, व्हाई शुड आई अग्री विथ यू? ओके, I still don't agree with him to make this big claim. Yet, at the same time, I am curious
Hmm.
that because I work, sitting next to Dr. Vijayta for hours together on weekends. So I knew how his brain thinks. And probably I couldn't think like that. And still, probably today, I wouldn't be able to think the way he thinks.
Hmm.
So if he says something, there is some grain of truth in it.
Right.
Yet at the same time, it's not obvious to me. So this वो कीड़ा मेरे दिमाग में था. It is almost 25 years back I had seen this case, I remember. And I'm carrying this seed that he has sown in my brain.
Right.
And then this conference comes talking about longevity. You will find many old homeopaths talk about that homeopaths patients live very long when they are on homeopathy. All of
Right.
us must have heard it.
Yes.
तो आई सेड अगर ये सब लोग बोल रहे हैं, इतने पुराने होम्योपैथ, मेरे टीचर बोल रहे हैं, कुछ तो ट्रूथ होगा.
Right.
But today, how many of us have the courage to stand up in the scientific community and say कि भाई ये होम्योपैथी के वजह से हुआ है?
Exactly.
इसी
Very
में
true.
हिम्मत नहीं.
Right.
Okay. And I wanted to go there and understand ये longevity measure करना है ना तुमको, तो क्या पैरामीटर्स से
क्या
मेजर करो?
पैरामीटर्स है? Exactly.
क्या तुम्हारे पास डॉक्यूमेंट्री पैरामीटर्स है जिसके तुम बोल सकते हो कि ये दवाई की वजह से ये longevity हुआ?
Mhm. Very true.
So I went to learn this. This was the quest. And remember, this seed was sown from 25 years back.
Right.
Now that's the connection my brain made. So this is the madness I'm talking about.
Exactly. And this is the need of homeopathy also, sir. If we
Yes,
have
and
the
it's the need
parameters
of
to
our
prove,
era, right?
yes,
It's the need of entrepreneurship, innovation. आज का जमाना यही है ना,
exactly.
इनोवेशन, एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप. ये शार्क टैंक देखते रहते हैं हम लोग, तो मेरे हिसाब से ये हमारा शार्क टैंक था जो हम लोग
Exactly.
गए जहां पर.
And this is the time where we just can't say कि कर लेते हैं. We need some parameters to prove that how it happens also. हो जाता है, कर लेते हैं, कर दिया, हो गया, ये तो हम करते ही थे. अब ये
Correct.
टाइम है कि हम प्रूव करें कि कैसे हमने किया. इवन समटाइम्स पेशेंट कम्स टू योर क्लिनिक एंड जस्ट आस्क हाउ योर मेडिसिन्स वर्क. तो वो भी एक डिफिकल्ट क्वेश्चन कितनी बार हो जाता है रिप्लाई करने के लिए, बिकॉज वी डोंट हैव सच पैरामीटर्स टू प्रूव इट. वी नीड सम साइंटिफिक बेस टू in the advancement of homeopathy. That is very true, sir. Sir, next I want to just ask you what you have observed in that seminar and what learning you have taken, because you had one motto कि मुझे ये समझना है कि लॉन्गेटिविटी एंड राइज हमें एजिंग में अगर रखना है तो इसमें क्या पैरामीटर्स हमें होने चाहिए, किस तरीके से हम उसको प्रूविंग में ला सकते हैं, किस तरीके से हम होम्योपैथिक को उसके रिलेटेडली समझ सकते हैं. आई थिंक दैट वाज द बेस ऑफ गोइंग टू दैट कॉन्फ्रेंस, बोथ ऑफ यू, राइट? And I know both of you since long you are working with the scientific approach of homeopathy also. You believe that it must be scientific to show in front of someone कि this how homeopathy works. तो वहां पर आपको क्या क्या लर्निंग्स मिली, क्या ऑब्जर्वेशन आप लोगों ने किया? सर हार्दिक सर प्लीज.
So, first of all, I would extend to what Dr. Munjal sir said. Like what aphorism number 3 is all about knowledges. And
Yes.
NMN has not restricted what knowledge. He has just put up like knowledges and
Yes.
what not is required. So this was also knowledge, and I now keep saying that we homeopaths first are physicians who are using homeopathy as a tool to treat. So,
Exactly.
and medicine has been ever evolving. So has homeopathy. It has been 250 years of homeopathy and it is still evolving. So, where
Right.
we can add certain sciences, where you can integrate certain sciences. Now, AI is coming into picture, lot of various robotics and what not is coming into picture. How we can
Yes.
improvise on our science. So, this
Right.
was the first purpose. Now, typically coming to what is longevity, another way to talk about longevity is also functional medicine. What can be, and now this was the route, functional medicine, why I came to the science of longevity. Like typically, how longevity can be described is more like, it is not about anti-aging or not about living longer, but it is more about living better, and it is more about like focusing on health span, not just lifespan. So the how medicine can be more preventive, personalized, and resilient focused. So various other topics were also like discussed, like what is the role of microbiome and epigenetics, proteomics, genomics, and
Right.
multiple other biomarkers, and we'll be talking like one to one on this. So this is going to be the key area what we'll be discussing now. So these are certain aspects, this is just touch base of
Yes,
longevity science, which I am now talking about.
yes, sir. Sir, Munjal, sir, can you please insight something about your
So
observation of this conference?
I will tell you honestly that 60% of conference I didn't understand a word. 3 days of the conference, 20% first day, 20% second day, 20% third day, कुछ नहीं समझ में. मुझे सिर्फ 40% समझ में.
सर वो
This
40%
is
में आप क्या
this is
समझे?
very honest answer.
Okay.
Sir,
So
just
अगर
adding to it, we were continuously on GPT or continuously on Google to understand that words throughout the 3 days.
वो
Yes.
हार्दिक ने उतना भी एफर्ट किया, मैंने तो वो भी एफर्ट नहीं किया. Because so I will tell you what I learned.
Yes, sir.
Other than the subject, there is lot to learn other than the subject.
Yes.
I interacted with farmers. Can you imagine a farmer attending a longevity conference?
Right.
I interacted with farmers. I interacted with geneticists. I interacted with people, businessmen. I interacted with uh, with AI experts. Now, these are some names I can remember. And this will give you a profile of the people who attended and who found this relevant.
Right.
And there were 2 homeopaths in it. That is me and Hardik.
Right.
So the learning here is what I can find similar between me and a farmer,
Right. Very
between
true.
my science and a farmer, between my science and a geneticist, between my science and an AI expert. Is there a point of intersection? Now, apparently, it appears very distant and nothing to do with each other. But if we really interact and talk to these people, you will find that homeopathy has lot to do with each of these fields.
Right.
And each of these fields will enrich my science and in turn enrich me. This is the broadest canvas on which I am painting my learning.
Right.
What I have absorbed from the farmer suddenly became relevant for me in treating my diabetic patient.
Okay.
That farmer now becomes a source to supply grains to my diabetic patients who are struggling to get some grain. I interacted with this AI expert who has developed an app. This app is prompting the diabetic patient what he has to do the test, what he has to eat, what he shouldn't be eating.
Okay.
It is also giving him advice how to taper his medicine and make changes in them.
Okay.
So suddenly, it became very interesting for me that my diabetic patients can enroll with this program and we can do this collaborate with homeopathy.
Right.
Those who are interested, I will give you their name. It is called serotonin. Go to the website called serotonin and you will find a
Serotonin.
lot of it. Yes.
Right. So the
Then,
device they are putting on the hands, that is the device?
yeah, that is one small portion, which is called a continuous glucose monitoring.
Yes, yes,
It
yes.
is a small portion of it, but there is a much, much larger body of work that has already happened.
Sir, just a minute. I just want to inquire one thing. Have you
Yes.
ever gone with this continuous glucose monitoring
Yes,
in
I've done.
any patient, and did you find any positive response out of it?
Yes, yes, yes. I've just presented a type 1 diabetes paper at the World Homeopathic
Yes, yes, you
Conference.
had.
Yes.
So
So
in that, you just advise the
now,
patient to have this glucose monitor regularly?
not regularly. It depends again on several factors: financial
Okay.
condition of the patient, what is the willingness of the patient,
We'll keep
how
some
much do I need to do it.
interesting topic also.
Huh.
Sorry to disturb in the topic, but
No,
just I
no.
want to ask
So
the
it has to be free flowing what we are talking, because there is nothing I can, put in a box what I learned. Now I will tell you another very interesting experience that happened to me in terms of learning and in terms of actual immediate practical application. Like I told you about this farmer, then I told you about this application with AI. Then I was listening to these people who work with dementia.
Okay.
Remember, dementia and longevity are very deeply connected with each other.
Right.
Okay. So there is this organization, NGO called Dementia Alliance India. Those who want to go and have a look at it can search the website. It's there on the Google. Now these people are providing huge amount of resource for dementia patients and caregivers of dementia. Okay. So this is one part.
Right.
And on the same platform, I heard a businessman who's working with a team of specialists, neuropsychologists, psychologists, physiotherapists, occupational therapists, who exclusively work with dementia patients.
Okay.
Okay, this firm is, I will tell you the name. Now, see what happened where connections click. I was struggling with 3-4 patients of dementia. And I really was feeling helpless कि क्या करें इनके लिए. Our remedies don't help. At least my remedies don't help. I don't know what about others' experiences.
Right.
So then I could help these 3 patients immediately after coming. And their relatives were so much relieved and so grateful for just providing their contact details. I have done nothing.
Right. That is
I
also
had very
duty
good
of
sleep.
doctor and real physician. Okay? We should get the patient advice a right path where to go. That is
Right,
also very important.
right. So one begins to see beyond the 4 walls of homeopathy. I will give you the exact name of the. Just a second. Yeah. It is called, you can see the website www.liveivory.com.
Live ivory.
Yes,
Okay, I will type on the comment box.
yes. You can have a look at it. Any relatives, patients who need dementia care. And remember, dementia care, I realize, is true specialization. And then we heard a lot about these mechanisms of dementia, what goes into our brain, of which very little I understood, and even less I retained. So what did I gain? Tomorrow, if I want to understand the mechanisms, I will go back and open that chapter again, go back to the people who are doing this work. And I don't know, I may use it 20 years from today.
Right.
The other interesting thing that I learned straight away, now that is very, very important for us, जो हम लोग longevity का claim करते हैं ना homeopathy का.
Right.
So as a clinician, I learned that metabolic health is directly proportional to longevity.
Right.
Now, do we think in terms of metabolic health? I think that's something that we need to churn in ourselves. How many of us think in terms of metabolic health?
We do not.
What
Not
can
to-
be done?
Yes.
How do you have a idea of a metabolic health? So, very interestingly, this is something very similar to what I was working with, and I still continue to work with at a very deep level, is first and foremost, your metabolic health is determined by glucose regulation.
Right.
What we understand, your blood glucose levels. Simple, no big deal about it. 2, it talks about insulin sensitivity and therefore insulin resistance.
Yes.
Can we measure it? Yes, it is
Yes.
measurable,
Yes.
right? Very, you can have exact value, okay?
Right.
Which is very helpful. Then lipid metabolism. We always do lipid profile karate rehte hain na.
Yes. Yes.
Now, how do we put it in a larger context? Then it comes to blood pressure. See, we are all doing this.
Yes.
We all know about it in pieces, right? Then very important, how do we understand visceral adiposity or visceral
Yes.
fat? अभी
Which is
इसके
very
बारे में भी
common.
हमको मालूम है.
Yes. Yes.
हाँ, which is very simple, waist circumference.
Yes. Very true.
Now, this may appear to be very easy ना, एकदम लल्लू है ये. जस्ट सिंपल मेजर टेप लेके मेजर करो, आपका वेस्ट सर्कमफरेंस 35 से ऊपर है, 35 इंचेस पे इन मेन, sorry, in female, and in 40 above men, ideally it should be less than 36.
Yes.
अब इससे ज्यादा है, that means your body is more prone to develop micro-inflammation.
Yes. True.
Okay, we knew all about this. Then liver health.
Right.
SGPT, SGOT ratio, very simple, and fat in the liver.
Yes.
Then we talk about inflammation
Right.
in your body. How do you understand the inflammation of your body? Again, we are doing this. रोज करते हैं हम लोग.
Yes.
HSCRP.
Yes.
And there are some more also. And your digestion.
Yes.
What Hardik talked about, the gut microbiome.
Yes.
अब ये सब पैरामीटर्स को आप देखो in one
Single patient.
under one umbrella.
Yes.
Under one umbrella called metabolic health.
Yes.
Now, does it give you a new perspective of looking at your patient? Instead of seeing somebody with only lipid profile, it has nothing to do with glucose, nothing to do with your liver enzyme, nothing to do with the liver fat. But now start looking at it under one umbrella called metabolic health. One parameter up and down, very soon the rest of the parameters will be taken.
This is very true. This is very true. This is very true. If you find one particular marker changed, in few years you will find the other is going to change very soon. This is very true. Even sir, PCOD also get linked with the metabolic changes very soon. Yes.
Right. तो अब यहाँ आप metabolic level पे बात कर रहे हो. Has it got direct relation with your clinical health?
Yes.
Indeed, right? Yes. And once you start understanding the importance of these parameters, I will start working with my patients 5 years, 7 years, 10 years before an actual disease entity appears.
Yes.
Aphorism number 4 of Hanuman, that the physician role is to prevent disease.
Prevent the disease.
तो अब मेरे पास रियल पैरामीटर बात करने के लिए, मैं हवे में बात नहीं करूंगा या इंट्यूटिवली बात नहीं करूंगा. See, I started with intuition when I came to the concept.
Right.
But now I have some real solid objective parameters बोलने के लिए कि ये metabolic health. So tomorrow, if I'm going to I want to work with a patient or make a presentation to the scientific community, I'm going to talk about metabolic health. I'm not just going to talk of blood sugar. I'm just not going to talk of lipid profile. I'm going to talk about an overall metabolic health. So this is the perspective that I'm trying to, you know, share with all the colleagues. And yeah, so I think that's the topic, of today. You widen your perspective. And as I see in another 10 years time, the disease entities that we understand today, they are going to dissolve. We are going to have a new layer of disease, completely new diseases, where we are going to talk of syndrome, where diabetes is one small part, which itself is a syndrome, is a small part of a total metabolic disease or a metabolic. We already know metabolic syndrome, but we are coming down, which are much, much more wider. And 10 years down the line, the young homeopath, your textbooks of medicine will change completely. We are going to talk in terms of, already if you see Harrison's textbooks of medicine, what you read today and what I read when I was a student, that is 20 years back, the perspective has changed completely. The same disease, 20 years back, if you read the 12th edition, and today when you read the 20 or 21st edition, I don't know if we have the 21st edition, 20th I know, edition, you will find that the current textbook talks very little about clinical presentation. They talk of biomolecular stuff, genetic stuff, changes in the genetic level. So as homeopaths, let's be prepared. Down the line, ये change होने वाला है, and let's be in tune with it. Otherwise, as it is, we are infinitesimal in the large sphere of science. Homeopathy is less than a drop of an ocean.
Right. Very true.
If you are not going to upgrade yourself and start being in tune with the current trends, it's going to be difficult for people to recognize this point.
Very true. Sir, Hardik sir, you talked about the biomarkers you have noticed and learned from there. Can we get an insight on particular markers we need to understand in the patients and clinical practices?
Yes, so like very primary marker is like the high sensitive CRP, what Dr. Munjal talked on, SGOT, SGPT ratio.
Yes.
And very key thing what learning was like, when we look at a CBC, we usually don't give a look at RDW. So that also a marker which is now prominent, we need to understand and integrate, where we can integrate in the.
Right.
Okay. Another important thing, where this metabolic health disrupts, one of the very basic thing is our circadian rhythm, our inner body's clock.
Yes.
Nowadays we are having this, I think probably you are wearing a watch which is a wearable AI device. I do not know which kind of watch it is. Okay, it is a regular watch.
This is a regular watch, sir.
But then, these days, the clocks which the watches we are wearing measures our SpO2 and heart rate, but it is more like measuring of our HRV, like variable heart rates. Now that is coming into picture.
Right.
It continuously monitors your sugar level and also it measures our actually circadian rhythm.
Right.
And in lieu of that, where these markers are getting disrupted, it also typically our hormones, our sleep cycle, our digestion cycle, and how it damages our cell repair. So how it came to it hit me like whenever we are treating cancer patient, we came down to certain things that what and how this disease erupted. What was that which got disrupted? Mainly we found some food habit, some emotional disturbance, or some kind of circadian rhythm disturbance, maybe in sleep or some stress level. So these are the things we identified. So learning in this conference was how to measure that, and after measuring, how to mitigate that. So
Right.
serotonin project was what Dr. Munjal was talking about. Actually, it maps this, measure this, and see to it how this can be mitigated. Like whenever we are discussing this biomarker, for mine and your will be different, and then we take the data from our wearable devices. Then we take the data from what we eat, how we sleep, and everything is integrated. And then personalized medicine or diet plan is been given. A new biomarker which is not yet commercially available, which
Right.
was like oxysterol. In simple language, it is called as oxidized cholesterol. Now the whole
Okay.
life we are being like blaming cholesterol or usually LDL. But the key thing is the amount of oxysterol versus the regular cholesterol ratio is determining factor whether you should take statins or you are a cardiac risk or not. Again, this is in a very early research phase, but now this is a new biomarker we
Hmm.
learned about.
Right.
So this is one of the aspect. So again, coming back to the very basics is the circadian rhythm. We break that, we need to mitigate that.
Right.
That was my
That's
key
very
learning from 3 days.
And that is actually required because we see many of the patients are coming with no regularity in their sleeps, no regularity with their diets. They go for Netflix and binging and everything, and then don't sleep for late night just to watch the reels and everything. And then they suffer from one or the other problems. So this is just a start. And we always talk as a homeopath about causative factors, elements from since long. But now we have the exact markers how to measure that thing in our practice, and then show the things that this how this might be the problematic, and ये आपको आगे जाके और क्या ला सकता है वो भी आपको बायोमार्कर से पता चल जाएगा. I think this was the learning from you got from this conference,
But
right?
in fact, enhancer in our case taking process and selection of medicine process as a homeopathy.
Yes.
We have those medicines, which actually this specific sleep issue or this specific diet issue, and how we can integrate that using this all data.
Yes.
So this was a new biomarker which we learned, and integrating everything. It is not just one single marker which is going to help you.
Yeah.
Integrating
So
this everything.
in short, we need holism, right?
Yes,
It is not one particular system you can work now. You have to integrate every system with in particular consultation, and then you have to connect everything, and then you have to think what I have to treat and how I have to forward, like proceed my I do need a counseling, or I need a dietary measures, or I need something to change in their lifestyles, which is the burning topic right now, lifestyle changes. Do I have to advise for the exercise, or do I have need to work on the mental health of the patient, whatever. So I think that might be helping with the patient's health more.
very much,
Yeah.
very much.
So we need to integrate everything right now. It's not वो जमाना गया जब हम एक पर्टिकुलर सिस्टम पे काम करते थे और हम बोलते थे हम इसके स्पेशलिस्ट है, इसके स्पेशलिस्ट है, हम ये कर सकते हैं, इसी पार्ट पे हम काम करते हैं. अगर इससे करना है तो दूसरे डॉक्टर के पास जाओ. वो
At
बहुत.
the same time, see, one brain cannot process everything
Yes, that's true.
together. Like there is an HRCP in front of you, there is this RDW in front of you, and multiple other biomarkers. But then what to integrate from, what to learn from it. And here, little bit of AI comes in picture.
Hmm.
Certain algorithms are set in that way. The particular research is also conducted in those ways that they could predict, okay, this can be.
Right.
So that was one of the key things which we got to know here, and we can see where we can integrate in our patients.
Okay.
The
So did
causality
you
of
start working on it, sir?
little bit, yes. At least at the mitigation part, understanding the circadian rhythm of the patients. First, mind, first
Yes,
mind,
that is very true.
like time bound eating. That was one of the key thing in the circadian rhythm. Like you eat in span of 8 to 10 hours, whatever you eat, but you eat in the span of 8 to, which I do 5 days a week, which I do. But still, understanding in more in a scientific, your sleep cycle, your
Are you
metabolic,
talking about intermittent fasting in this biological
a bit,
clockwise?
a bit, a bit. When the biological is more of like where how you sleep and how much you sleep. So that is
Right.
also very important. So these all things are integrated. So that's how circadian rhythm. Sir, I think that app which is called My Circadian Rhythm is a free downloadable app. And you
Yes.
can download that.
So yeah, I will just add to this. When Hardik has opened up this Pandora's box called circadian rhythm, you could have all of us have studied circadian rhythms in our first year physiology.
Yes.
We can go to Guyton and check circadian rhythm. This is basically the rhythm of the body, the ups and downs that the body goes. So those who are interested in understanding this, there's an excellent lecture which I heard must be during COVID time by Dr. Sachin Panda. You can just Google him and you will find on YouTube Sachin Panda,
Panda.
where he talks about
Okay.
circadian rhythm. Now, the beauty is I happened to listen to him in live.
Was there.
He was there and he spoke about the same thing. Now, this is interesting, how you meet scientists from different parts of the world where I would have had no opportunity ever to go and interact with him. And when my teacher, Dr. Vijaykar, would say, if you're with successful people, you will be successful. There is no question about it. So if you're with intelligent people, smart people, you will be smart. It just rubs on to you. So it's up to us whether we want to be smart, we want to be successful. And I have had the opportunity to interact with these some very brilliant minds from fields of management, from fields of biology. They have something very special in their perspective that we have missed. What makes them intelligent and the knowledge is the perspective, the POV, the point of view of examining a phenomena in front of them. And unfortunately, the homeopaths have the most rigid POV. They examine everything from one single standpoint of view. This is completely against Hahnemann's own wish and against Hahnemann's own perspective. The whole idea of being unprejudiced is your ability to shift a perspective and not get married to one perspective and looking at every single parameter, every single phenomena from that lens.
Right.
And that is the reason we go and meet these people and attend these conferences, where you don't get stuck in one perspective. Because if you get stuck in one perspective, no, you have very little to offer to this world.
Exactly. Very true.
So please see Sachin Panda, his lecture, brilliant talk. And in the lecture also, he will tell you My Circadian Rhythm. That's an app. You can go register yourself, put in your data, and you will be contributing to a huge worldwide experiment that is happening.
Okay.
So for me, it gives me that satisfaction also. भाई मैंने कुछ मेरा डेटा दिया एक इतना छोटा सा worldwide experiment से.
Yes, sir.
That's my contribution to this scheme of things.
Sir, 2 lines I remember at the end, what Dr. Panda told that day. You don't wear anything, you don't do any biomarker, sleep in time, wake in time, and eat in time bound thing. These were the biggest takeaways. And like extending to what Hahnemann said, in the span of 40, 50 years, what Hahnemann spreaded or developed homeopathy, he himself changed his point of view 6 times till the sixth edition. Just imagine what if Hahnemann was living today. So just shifting the perspective and evolution in the medicine and integrate various things. As we go and we keep learning accordingly.
Right. And that's very true. If Hahnemann would be there today, his perspective to homeopathy might be widely changed because everything has changed. The lifestyle has changed. The whatever you told these days, the inflammatory diseases are more. The metabolic diseases are more and many things. Lifestyle patient का बहुत अलग है, खाना पीना अलग है, pollution इतना ज़्यादा है, बहुत कुछ change हो गया है. तो होम्योपैथिक में changes आता और 100% आता अगर आज हेमंत सर जिंदा होते तो.
हेरिसन में इतने चेंजेस है, डॉक्टर मुंजाल अभी बोला.
जी सर.
हेरिसन में इतने सारे चेंजेस है राइटिंग में.
एग्जैक्टली. और सर हम जब पढ़ते थे, जो हमने पढ़ा है और वो क्लिनिकल प्रैक्टिस में कितना देखने मिलता है, उसमें भी काफी चेंजेस हैं. मतलब वो प्रेजेंटेशन चेंज होने लगा है. मुझे याद है मेरे एक सर ने मुझे कहा था कि जो टेक्स्ट बुक में लिखा है वो मत सोचो कि वही प्रेजेंटेशन लेके पेशेंट आपके पास आएगा, उसमें चेंजेस आज हैं. तो वो चीजें आपको खुद सीखनी पड़ेगी क्लिनिकल प्रैक्टिस के साथ कि ये भी चेंजेस से मुझे ये डायग्नोसिस हो सकता है मेरे पेशेंट में. तो बहुत सारे चेंजेस हमने कुछ साल में, और आई थिंक लास्ट 5 to 10 years में ये चेंजेस बहुत ड्रास्टिक हुए हैं. बहुत ऐसे केसेस हमने देखे हैं जो मतलब ऐसे जैसे पढ़ते थे तब बोलते थे ना कि ये डिसीज 40+ में ही मिलेगी. ये हम मेटाबॉलिक डिसऑर्डर इज नॉट कॉमन बिलो 40 years. We see very rare patients like with suffering from a hypertension, diabetes and like this इंसुलिन रेजिस्टेंस आज 16 साल के 12 साल के बच्चों को है. And this we are seeing recently, right? बहुत early age में they are suffering from the insulin resistance. They are suffering from obesity. They are suffering from a lot of things which should not be there. तो ये जो मार्कर्स की बात है, आई ट्रूली एग्री कि दिस इज द नीड ऑफ टाइम. यू शुड फोकस ऑन ऑल दिस थिंग along with your case taking, with your medications and everything. Yes sir. Sir, how you like आपने जो वहां से लिया उसको होम्योपैथी से कैसे रेलिवेंट किया? हाउ यू कनेक्टेड बोथ द थिंग्स एंड हम इसका यूसेज अपनी क्लिनिकल प्रैक्टिस में किस तरीके से कर सकते हैं, किस तरीके से इसको और आगे स्टडीज को बढ़ा सकते हैं, या हमारी क्लिनिकल प्रैक्टिस में पेशेंट को कैसे हेल्प कर सकते हैं?
So,
ये सर हार्दिक सर.
so multiple ways like understanding the ailments from causative factors in your patients, relooking your cases from that emotional perspective, physical symptoms perspective, relooking their biomarkers now. What data is available, and आजकल like patient are having habit of doing that all testing and everything. Now
Every time.
relooking from
Yes.
that and predicting from that. Okay, what can be? So this is a newer thing now. I have actually started looking at the biomarkers in a more vigilant way and more different perspective, particularly see talking about like cancer patients. These things become like are more palpable now, what shifted, since when it shifted. So this is the
Right.
perspective now I have added looking at my cases. And it is not just restricted to cancer. You take case of any autoimmune disease also, very similar things we are able to find. Treatment is another thing that is more of a remedial approach. That is part two of it. But then understanding of the disease itself, understanding of the patient itself has now shifted, or I would say enhanced.
Yes. So
Let me
your
expand.
perspective
And
for
also,
patients and
measuring that
time
in future, how would measure that? That will be the part two of it once we integrate everything in our practice.
So one particular question for you, Hardik sir, before we switch over to Munjal sir. Do this will help for the prognosis or the follow-ups of the patient, and how will you measure these markers in the future?
So exactly, it will help us in
But how
follow.
will you do it?
First we need to understand the current scenario, current status.
Yes.
What are the markers and what is their impact, what is been disrupted, and
Right.
then reanalyzing the marker maybe as and when needed, and then it will be helpful in predicting the future. But I would say that still predicting part, I would not yet comment on this because I am still also understanding that it is at a very rudimentary stage which I am now talking. So
Right.
at least I have started analyzing the data of what our variables
What?
tell. Yes,
Yes.
yes, because I have a couple of friends who are like 24/7. They are athletes and they are they continuously see that heart rate and everything. So I'm just interviewing them and seeing that whenever their heart rate increases, what is their emotional state and what is
Mm.
happening also. These all things actually I have now started observing. I would say
Right.
implementing, but observing. So this is going to be, future implementation.
Right. Yes, sir. Munjal sir, please.
So on the same line, when we are talking about this perspective type and we are talking about these biomarkers, essentially whether we know the biomarker, we don't know the biomarker. Okay. For example, let me give you a very fresh example from today morning's case. This lady was suffering from what we call a depressive disorder and a conversion disorder. Two things for the last 7 to 8 years. Now, if I look at it purely from homeopathic point of view, which is important, you will look at the mental, take the mental, and prescribe on the symptom. So if you look at Hanuman himself, he did not have any biomarkers in his head.
Yes.
There was nobody knew anything about biomarkers, which are only beginning to know now. And today we are able to correlate what he has said. If you look at the mental health aphorism on mental illnesses, he says in a psychiatric problem, in a mental health, the physical concomitants are great importance, and in a physical disease, the mental concomitants are of great importance. They are the defining moments. Okay. Now, if you look at major depressive disorder, it is now understood quite clearly, without any ambiguity left, that we are dealing with a low-grade inflammatory condition. Now, remember what we talked about HSCRP?
Yes.
Which is again a reflection of a low-grade inflammation that's happening. Inflammogenesis.
Yes.
So the whole major depressive disorder is one fraction of this larger inflammatory process that's happening in the body.
Right.
Now, interestingly, this woman told me that since I have started developing depression, I have started craving for tea.
Yes.
I will take 4 or 5 cups of little tea, and I must have it. If I don't have tea, I feel dull. And then she also said that since I have been depressed, I have become extremely chilly. I used to tolerate cold better, but I have become extremely chilly. And then she said, I don't remember right now what, these are 3 or 4 symptoms that she said. And I just understood, followed what the aphorisms say. He said the physical concomitant to the mental state are very, very important. And this is so characteristic. Why did this woman start craving for tea since she has become depressed or since she has this conversion disorder? So I took these symptoms and I put it in the repertory. And interestingly, a remedy spongia came. Now, this is my second case of major depressive disorder where spongia came up as a remedy. Something that I still do not understand. I don't know if others have this kind of an experience with spongia, but that's the symptom that came up.
Right.
And the other remedy in the differential was Asteria rubin. Both these remedies, I know little about their mental state. But this is what I want to tell you, that now even psychiatry, I stopped seeing purely as psychiatry. I see them in a much larger canvas, in a much more syndromic way, where the pure psychiatric disease is only one part of the total disease picture, the portrait, what Hanuman talks about. And in this conference, I could actually get, yes, this understanding is correct. So in fact, many of Hanuman's observations meet an explanation today after 250 years. And that makes me more confident about Hanuman's observation. In fact, Hanuman's observation is something I would almost never challenge. It is the integrity of his observation that makes this man so great. This is the unprejudicedness that we are talking about. And are we as a fraternity able to carry this unprejudiced, unbiased quest to understand the disease of our patients and to help them? The whole idea is patient, not me or not homeopathy. Can I do something for this patient? Do I have this question all the time burning in my heart? If this question is not burning in the heart of the physician, then there is some problem. Now, I may sound idealistic, but I believe that this is what I place myself as, and I believe I want my system also to have this burning question.
Right.
Because if there are going to be 200 of my fellow fraternity colleagues who have this burning question, it is only these 200 which will lift the system to the next level.
Right.
And I feel the need to collaborate, to hold each other's hand, to exchange with people from diverse fields, to hear them and also to give them, because we have a lot to offer. I'm only struck by this aphorism on the mental health. The allopaths are only beginning to understand it now, and yet they are a little away from translating it into therapeutics. Whereas we have therapeutics ready.
Exactly.
If we start understanding this, and in terms of this, we have a lot to offer to the world. It is our opportunity.
Yeah. So that is a true integration. What these days, everybody is talking about integration. Actual integration is this, where we need to understand everything on a scientific basis, need to understand the patient as a holistic approach, taking the integration with other fields also, and giving them also wherever required. And when we learn all this thing, putting everything aside that I am a homeopath or I am a physician, will work only on this medicines, but will not focus on diet or lifestyle changes or something else, we will not get a true result in our patients. Am I right or wrong? This what I understood from the experience of you peoples, that the true healing with us for a patient now will be a holistic and integrated approach. We cannot claim that we only did it, and we will get a more chance to offer something to the society in a more scientific, more marked way, more scientific approach and proving way, right? And ये मैंने आप दोनों से ही सीखा है. We should keep the data of the patients, what we had did and how we are doing it. So एक डेटा जो कंसर्न आप लोगों में हमेशा से था कि डेटा होना चाहिए पेशेंट का, कहाँ कैसे बताओगे कि आपने क्या किया था? तो वो आपको एक और पाथ मिला है कि ये डेटा में मुझे क्या ऐड ऑन करना है, कि ये बायोमार्कर्स मुझे कैसे हेल्प करेंगे. इससे क्या सर हम पास्ट में भी समझ सकते हैं पेशेंट को? किसी के पास बहुत सारी फाइल्स भी होती है कि ये हुआ इसके बाद ये हमारे रिपोर्ट्स आए, ये रिपोर्ट्स आए, तो एक क्या बोलते हैं, एक सीरीज ऑफ चेंजेस हम जो बॉडीज में हुए हैं पेशेंट को, उसके बारे में भी हम समझ पाएंगे शायद. मुझे विद्या बालन का एक इंटरव्यू याद आता है इसमें. उन्होंने अभी रिसेंटली एक पोस्ट किया था कि उनको ओबेसिटी हमेशा से एक बहुत बड़ा कंसर्न रहा है उनकी बॉडी के अंदर, एंड शी ट्राइड ऑल ऑफ थिंग्स एंड कभी कुछ हुआ नहीं. देन चेन्नई सम इंस्टीट्यूट शी वेंट एंड उन्होंने बोला कि यू आर सफरिंग फ्रॉम अ इन्फ्लेमेशन इन योर बॉडी, यू आर नॉट ओबेस एंड दैट्स व्हाई यू आर नॉट रिकवरिंग फ्रॉम दिस. and she has been put on anti-inflammatory diet, and she reduced a lot without any other efforts. So inflammation is so in concern with all this thing. ये आपकी बातों से मुझे ये समझ में आया कि we have to focus on inflammation part also of the patient.
Inflammation is the key.
Yes. That will end up gradually to the other pathological disease, and पैथोलॉजी की बुक में सबसे पहला सिखाते ही इन्फ्लेमेशन है, लेकिन हम वही भूल जाते हैं.
But the one word which Dr. Munjal told in start, inflammaging.
Yes, inflammaging. We should have this word in mind while we are working with the patient. That's very
तो
true.
मार्कर्स भी है inflammaging के,
Yes.
which are now easily done in the lab. Only thing we have to order.
So do we have some medicines in a therapeutic which can work like anti-inflammatory medicines? Do we have some data in any other places or something, like if we work on specific or something?
Why would we think like this?
Exactly.
Here. Our every medicine which you select in a right way, right method, whatever approach you are using,
Yes.
is a medicine which will be anti-inflammatory, or it will be anti-inflammaging, or whatever way you can you would like to put it. The thing is like where to use these all biomarkers and data to select a remedy, to enhance your selection. That would be my takeaway, at least for this moment.
Correct. Also, when we talk of inflammation as the cause, I mean, one needs to understand that Hahnemann has traveled beyond that.
Exactly. That's very true.
He says it is first the disease state that appears, and inflammation is a manifestation of that primordial disease. I mean, let's be understand. We have gone deeper in the layers of reaching the causation. But why did you get the inflammation from? I mean, let's put that question. And
Yes.
Hahnemann, through homeopathy, has addressed that.
Very true.
So let's not get stuck by saying that inflammation is disease है तो उसको ये करना है. नहीं. Inflammation again is a manifestation of a much deeper underlying disturbance.
Exactly.
And in fact, he has given more than medicine in the organon itself. He has talked about diet, nutrition, restrictions, spiritual health, and
absolutely
everything has dedicated aphorisms.
Right. At the end,
it is the whole organon textbook, which is written 250 years back. And today we are able to see actual objective parameters of all those concepts.
In many places of the patients.
In almost all.
All. That's true.
Hahnemann has talked of diet and regimen all the time.
Yes, that's very
including
true.
In his own case record.
Right.
He has talked about auxiliary measures. Unabashedly, he has talked about. I find a lot of very rigid homeopaths saying कि नहीं ये होम्योपैथी रेमेडी से ही करेंगे सर. तो मैं इतना भी अपना होम्योपैथी से आइडेंटिफाई नहीं करता. I am happy to take the help of therapy.
Yes, very true.
And help my patient.
एंड अब तो हमारे कोर्सेज जो अब जूनियर्स में आए हैं उसमें भी इंटीग्रेशन किया गया है. दे ऑल्सो वांट द होम्योपैथ्स टू लर्न अबाउट इंटीग्रेशंस, and I think even government and the peoples are also thinking on this widening perspective of the health, ki how to integrate everything and offer something to the patient.
MBBS course has also used to take up any Ayush.
Any of the Ayush systems.
Yes.
So it is already done. It's not just thought, it's done, implemented.
And I think this results will be shown in next 5 years.
Yes, next
how
5
we
years
are working on it. Individual doctor must have to work on this perspective and need to like stay in touch with the patients for a longer period of time to make them more healthier. What we were told, it's not about lifespan, it is about healthy span. Which was the right word you have used, Hardik sir. It's not about the lifespan, it is about the healthy span we need in our life. कि कितना हम जीते हैं वो important नहीं, कितना healthy तरीके से हम जीते हैं. क्योंकि जिस एरा में हम रह रहे हैं यहाँ पर हेल्थ ही अभी बहुत क्वेश्चन मार्क हो रखा है, और हम इसको शायद बहुत टेकन फॉर ग्रांटेड ले रहे हैं। मैंने बहुत सारे पेशेंट्स में देखा है कि हाँ ठीक है ना, मेडिसिन ले लेंगे, ठीक हो जाएगा, वो हो जाएगा, वो हो जाएगा। दे डोंट वांट टू वर्क ऑन देयर हेल्थ मोर। वी नीड टू मेक देम मोर अंडरस्टैंड दैट हेल्थ इज द प्रायोरिटी। डिसीज होने के बाद जो करना है वो तो करना ही है, डिसीज ना होने से पहले आपको क्या करना चाहिए इस बारे में, विच इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट। एंड प्रिवेंशन इज ऑलवेज बेटर देन क्योर, ये हमने पढ़ा था, सुना था, कहते भी हैं, लेकिन करते बहुत कम लोग हैं। इसीलिए वी आर सफरिंग अ लॉट विथ मेनी दिस life hazardous disease these days. You can see the rise in a lot of cases of metabolic disorder, cancers, and everything. And I think, Hardik sir, you might have noticed in many of the cancer patients that inflammation is the first stage of their start on this disease. Like कहीं
Yeah.
ना कहीं उनके बॉडी पार्ट में, कहीं ना कहीं उनके मार्कर्स में, कहीं कुछ इन्फ्लेमेटरी चेंजेस तो आए ही होंगे। एंड दैट व्हाट हैनीमन हैज टॉक्ड अबाउट इन मायज्म आल्सो।
So again, yes, that is the truth. But at the same time, understanding cancer or any disease as a disease, inflammation is the key. But added therapies, added therapeutics are very important. Like nutrition correction or
Right,
exercise correction.
exactly.
We homeopaths do not usually take help of that. We shy away on that.
Yes,
But then that should be integrated. It only enhances the health.
right.
Then there are many such parallel therapies which are available, which are non-chemo, non-radio, non-thing. But it only helps. What is the harm in taking that integrate with our
Very, very true. We actually need to,
science itself, longevity science itself talks about it.
yes,
We just need to be more, be aware of it and integrate it.
right. वेरी ट्रू। ये आज का जो टॉपिक था एक्चुअली बहुत ट्रू है। वी नीड टू वाइडन आवर पर्सपेक्टिव इन क्लिनिकल प्रैक्टिस, इन कॉन्टेक्स्ट ऑफ अस ऑल्सो, इन कॉन्टेक्स्ट ऑफ पेशेंट ऑल्सो। हमें भी उतना ही समझना पड़ेगा। जैसे हार्दिक सर ने अभी बोला कि पहले तो मैंने खुद का ही समझा कि मेरी सिसेरियन साइकिल में कहाँ प्रॉब्लम है, तो वो हमें भी एज ए डॉक्टर समझने की जरूरत है कि हम कहाँ पर इसको ठीक कर सकते हैं, और हम पेशेंट को किस तरीके से समझा सकते हैं कि ये हाँ, ये चेंज करने से शायद आपकी हेल्थ में और सुधार आ जाए, या इसको कांटेक्ट करने से आपको सर, आपने मुंजल सर ने जिस तरीके से आपने डिमेंशिया के पेशेंट्स को एक गाइडेंस देके हेल्प किया, कि मतलब एक राइट अप्रोच बताया कि इनको कांटेक्ट कीजिए, इनसे आपको ज्यादा तो वी नीड टू अंडरस्टैंड वी आर नॉट द ओनली पर्सन हु कैन डील विथ ईच एंड एवरीथिंग इन द पेशेंट्स। वी नीड टू इंटीग्रेट फॉर द गुड हेल्दी लाइफ स्पैन, which is very true. And I think the best thing I learned from both of you today, हमेशा ही कुछ ना कुछ सीख के जाती हूँ, लेकिन आज का जो टॉपिक मुझे बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग लगा, क्योंकि ये मेरा भी एक बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग टॉपिक है। मैं हमेशा इसके बारे में पढ़ती हूँ, जानती हूँ, हाउ डाइट हेल्प्स इन योर हेल्थ, हाउ लाइक your lifestyle changes can help in your lifespan, and how the markers can make you diagnose more properly। कहाँ हम देख सकते हैं कि आगे जाके पेशेंट्स को क्या क्या हो सकता है। एक डॉक्टर है, डॉक्टर पॉल करके, यूट्यूब पे बहुत सारे वीडियोस बनाते हैं। इज अ गेस्ट्रोएंटरोलॉजिस्ट इन कनाडा, बेस्ड इन इंडिया, इज साउथ इंडियन डॉक्टर। एंड वो हमेशा गट बैक्टीरियाज पे बहुत बात करते हैं, जो सर ने अभी गट बैक्टीरियाज की बात की है। तो ही हिमसेल्फ बिलीव्स दैट if you preserve your gut bacteria better, if you can grow more gut bacteria, you can have a more healthy lifestyle. And दूसरी एक बात सर ने जो एडिपोज टिश्यूज की थी, विसरल fat, which is actual a real concern in every patient. We are talking about weight scales, we are not talking about the waist measurement, which is not good. पेशेंट क्रैश डाइट लेके वेट तो लूज करना चाहता है, लेकिन वेस्ट लूज नहीं करना चाहता है। तो वो एक बहुत कंसर्न वाली बात है, बिकॉज एवरीथिंग इज लाइक द मोर प्रॉब्लमेटिक इज योर वेस्ट लेंथ। एंड वन ऑफ द वेरी फाइनेस्ट न्यूट्रिनिस्ट आई एवर हर्ड अबाउट इज डॉक्टर रुजुता दिवेकर। वो हमेशा बोलते हैं वेट स्केल को फेंक दो अपने क्लिनिक पे से। शी इज द वन ऑफ द टॉप रेटेड न्यूट्रिनिस्ट फ्रॉम इंडिया। एंड वो हमेशा उनके क्लिनिक में उन्होंने लिखा है, मैंने उनकी राइटिंग्स पढ़ी थी, उनके क्लिनिक में कहीं पर भी बिंग डाइटिशियन ही डजंट कैरी वेट स्केल। वो ऐसा मानते हैं कि वेट स्केल की जरूरत नहीं होती है, वेस्ट मेजरमेंट की जरूरत होती है। आपके कपड़े ढीले पड़ने चाहिए, आपका वेस्ट मेजरमेंट कम होना चाहिए, ना कि आपका वेट। वो तो आप 4 दिन बीमार पड़ेंगे तो भी वेट में डिफरेंस दिखेगा। तो ये जो मैं आपकी पूरी बात समझी, मेरे को ये समझ में आया कि अभी तक जो सुन रही थी मैं, ये बहुत हद तक, बहुत जगह पे बहुत ट्रू है, और इन सबकी नॉलेज को लेके हमें चलना पड़ेगा. सर, डू यू वांट टू ऐड समथिंग एट द एंड? हार्दिक सर.
I think I spoke whatever was there. मेरा एक regret है. Only one regret which I have about Hahnemann, that he didn't travel to the eastern part of the world, where Ayurveda, Chinese medicine, Japanese medicine, which were actually talking about holistic health. Me
Yes.
and Munjal were like, continuously during the conference, we're looking at each other when people are talking about gut health, gut health, gut health. Ayurveda has been talking about gut health since
Yes.
ages
Yes.
now. They're talking about the very similar things. Eating before sunset, eating in a time frame, sleeping in
Yes.
time, waking Brahma Muhurat की बात करते हैं हम. But the edge is that now we can measure that. That
Right.
is what we can now do. This is I want to add. And where
Yes.
a homeopath can utilize this data.
One more thing I want to add, what you do is also very important. आप जो टाइम ब्रेक लेके अपने काम में से अपने हॉबी को आगे बढ़ाते हैं ना, वो भी बहुत इम्पोर्टेंट है. एंड आई अप्रिशिएट यू फॉर दिस कि आप पैराग्लाइडिंग को जो आपने हॉबी बनाई है, उसके लिए स्पेशली टाइम एक बिजी शेड्यूल में से निकाल के आप हमेशा वो करते हैं. तो दैट इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट फॉर मेंटल हेल्थ. वी ऑलवेज वर्क वर्क वर्क, बट वी डोंट नीड टेक अ ब्रेक. And this break for our own self, for me time, is very important for every person. Yes, sir. Sir, Munjal sir, can you add something to at the end of
मेरा
this?
तो एकदम उल्टा है. मेरा तो 12 घंटे मी टाइम ही रहता है.
Sir,
Because
ऐसा मत
medicine
बोलिए, you
is
are the
my
busiest
passion.
homeopath.
Medicine is my passion.
Hmm.
So it is me time for me. All सुबह 9 बजे के क्लिनिक में
मुझे
एंटर
सर
करता
एक
हूँ.
फेवरेट स्टेटमेंट उनके बिहाफ में मैं बोलता हूँ.
Yes, sir.
I would like to die on a research table. ये statement ही
क्या है मेरा
सर,
क्लिनिक.
मैंने आपको सही नाम दिया है, तो फिर साइंटिस्ट ऑफ होम्योपैथी मैंने आपको सही नाम दिया. और ये सर मैंने आज नहीं दिया आपको नाम. मैं जब फर्स्ट टाइम आपको मिली थी, यू इवन, आई डोंट नो यू रिमेम्बर और नॉट, मैं अहमदाबाद होम्योपैथिक मेडिकल कॉलेज में जब एज ए स्टाफ थी, तब मैंने फर्स्ट टाइम आपसे मिली थी. तब मैंने ये डिक्लेयर किया था कि सर लुक्स लाइक अ साइंटिस्ट, सर वर्क्स लाइक अ साइंटिस्ट, सर थिंक्स अबाउट लाइक अ साइंटिस्ट. तो ये मैंने तब आपको नाम दिया था. अब तो मैं आपको बहुत अच्छे से जानती हूँ, अभी बहुत
थैंक यू
सारी
सो
हमारी
मच.
डिस्कशंस होती है, लेकिन मैंने उस समय ये चीज बोली थी सर.
थैंक यू सो मच. So only parting note, this can go on and on and on. It's just
Yes.
the beginning actually. To all my very junior colleagues, junior students who would be listening to this, make it a point to attend most unrelated conferences. Meet people,
Yes.
talk to them, tell them who you are without feeling any ashamed, without feeling shy. You're a homeopath. ये वो कुछ टेंशन नहीं. जाके बोलो, people in the world are very open.
Yes.
To conferences or take up these छोटा छोटा courses होता है ना. Like just 2 years back, Hardik went and did IIT Delhi में से
Yes.
design
That
thinking.
I was about to ask you,
Now,
sir.
ये design
Class
thinking
के
is
अंदर.
another, what it has got to do with homeopathy, no?
Hmm.
But if you go deep into the course, you will realize that it will change the way you look at your cases
Right.
forever. No, he will be able to tell you someday more on it. But the idea is, what appears unrelated, no, is actually not so unrelated.
Right.
Go and embrace it. We will see a bigger truth that is waiting to embrace us and open our minds.
And for that, I think Munjal sir is always active to attend various different topics, conferences. Recently, we have attended some dietitians conference also in Ahmedabad. अभी 6 महीने पहले ही कुछ हुआ था, and you
Correct.
were there.
So that,
To
yeah,
understand about diabetes
correct.
and
Pan,
diet.
Pan India, this called an organization called Pan India, and they work on evidence-based nutrition.
Okay.
So
So how
because
to
I
get in
work,
touch with them, sir?
so I can
If
give you the
somebody is interested.
numbers. I can share it with you. We can share it. They will be more than happy to communicate with you
Sir,
and
thank you so
invite you
much
for
if
the
I can get
conference.
the number, because
Anybody
I'm
who is
okay with
interested.
such topics. Yes.
So
I'm
evidence-based nutrition, again, evidence-based. So they
yes.
talk pure what is seen, what is uh, available, instead of making theories out of it.
Hardik sir, how you went to this IIT Delhi? Tell me more about it. मैं कल आपका मैंने जो क्रिएटिव बनाया एंड आई वाज जस्ट रीडिंग कि कुछ मिस्टेक नहीं है, तब मैंने नोटिस किया कि आपने उसके अंदर लिखा है it was just writing thinking and innovations, see design in thinking and innovations in IIT Delhi. क्या
It's
है
design,
sir?
design thinking and innovation. So I had that this kid of design since childhood. Not typical design, but whatever way. And I work with an institute which is National Institute of Design, and I happen to meet a lot of designers there. And one of the faculty introduced me to this subject called design thinking. And one of our faculty's friend was from IIT Delhi. He was my patient incidentally. He took me as an observer to this course once to just see what it is. And I was knowing about this term. Again, it is like a serendipity moment. I had a quest and he came as an angel. And in the next course, I thought that being an observer won't work. I enrolled myself for the course. But then
Right.
being enrolling in that course, helped me a lot. Like we did a session on empathy few days before, like I think Dr. Munjal knows about it. So how empathy and homeopathic case taking can be integrated. That was the biggest takeaway. And not as a design, but see if you look at Henneman was himself was a designer. Now what I realize, or every doctor is a designer. What we speak, what we do, how we integrate the data, and then we prescribe. How an
Right.
architect would look at a project, or how a designer or a sculpturist would look at a. We homeopaths do that, or rather we doctors do that. So that is a
Right.
key takeaway from this course, and how we can improvise on service delivery. This was
Right.
my perspective.
Very interesting. Something very interesting and very
That
different.
that made me so much interested in variables because
Oh,
I was interviewed by nearly 2 to 3 students of NID who were working on some wearable devices. Like one was working with Zydus Hospital who was trying to make some kind of watch where it can detect that aura of epilepsy. And this is the time when these wearable devices are not in action.
right.
And one boy came and interviewed me like, what can be done for, children do not allow to put you thermometer in their mouth. So my
Right.
counter question was, have you empathized children who are having autism or MR? How about creating a device where you can measure temperature for them? And this shifted his perspective and he started working on children with those. Now I lost the contact of him, but then my question was that. So this is something which is called design thinking. It is more than a problem, more than a solution, but why the problem?
Yes. I personally would thank you both because मैं हमेशा जब भी आप लोगों से बात करती हूँ, I learn something new. My perspective to see the clinics, to see the patients, and to see the life obviously get changed time to time, and I get more interested in things which या तो मैं सोचती हूँ या कभी रील में देखा होता है, कहीं पढ़ा होता है, लेकिन उसकी एक बुनियाद आप लोगों से बात करके हमेशा स्ट्रांग होती है कि मुझे इस बारे में और पढ़ना चाहिए और जानना चाहिए और इंटरेक्शन करना चाहिए और किस तरीके से हम पेशेंट्स को डे टू डे लाइफ में हेल्प कर सकते हैं, विच इज एक्चुअली अ नीड ऑफ टाइम. सो थैंक यू खमार सर, थैंक यू मुंजाल सर.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
One line I would end with before, and this is a thank you to Dr. Munjal. Why? Because we were knowing about each other. Just
Right.
heard our name. He joined the college. I left the college. I
Right.
had immense fear of reading Provix. 100 times I have taken herring guiding symptom, बंद करके रख दिया. And we had a very formal meeting at some gathering of homeopathy. He told, let us start reading Provix.
Right.
That day and today.
That's true.
So you have a quest and then someone is there.
Yes. So thank you, Hardik sir. Thank you, Munjal sir.
Thank
You
you.
are always
Thank you
there
so
to help
much.
me out. And thank you,
Very good
Munjal sir,
night.
personally. आपने मुझे ऐसे स्पीकर्स भी दिए हैं चैनल के लिए जो उन्होंने मुझे काफी अच्छे कंटेंट्स दिए हैं, लोगों के लिए ज्यादा और समझने का मौका मिला है. और ये आज का जो टॉपिक था, आई थिंक बहुत ही इनोवेटिव, बहुत ही डिफरेंट था, बट बहुत जरूरी था हर एक, सिर्फ डॉक्टर्स के लिए नहीं, हर एक इंसान को समझने के लिए कि हमें लाइफ में किस तरीके से हेल्दी रहना है, तो हमें क्या चीज चाहिए एंड हमें किस तरीके से अपने लाइफ को और सुधारने की जरूरत है. सो थैंक यू सो मच एंड थैंक यू
Thank
कमिंग
you.
अगेन टू माय चैनल. बहुत जल्द हम फिर से किसी और टॉपिक के लिए मिलेंगे. एंड फॉर द व्यूअर्स, नाउ आई एम अगेन एक्टिव ऑन द यूट्यूब चैनल. विल सून मीट विद अ डिफरेंट टॉपिक, समथिंग वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग विद मोर लर्निंग्स. एंड thank you for joining everyone. Thank you so much.
Bye
Have a nice
bye. See you.
bye soon.